This is a DOD Fed Globe production, and today we have with us, from the DOD Fed Globe Board, the legal director, Dr. Charles Pratt, Esquire, who we refer to as Charlie. Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Lisa.
How's it going?
It's Friday. It's late Friday after a really hectic week. I'm a very active attorney, so I'm ready for the weekend. But I'm delighted to see you again and have a chance to talk to you again.
Now, DOD Fed Globe exists to educate about and advocate for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender employees, past and present, military, civilian, and aligned corporations of the Department of Defense. How do you perceive things going for the LGBT community that is presently working for the Department of Defense?
It depends how far back you look. I think we are definitely moving ahead with activists like you, Lisa. More people are coming out, and there's more recognition that we contribute a lot to the defense of our nation. And of course, the more people who are out, as Harvey Milk said, the better things will get for us, and I totally believe that. I was never in the military. I'm not physical issues that preclude that, but I worked for about 20 years for a large corporation that consults to the military. I consulted to the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, intelligence agencies. I never felt that I could be out as a LGBT person. I'm bisexual in my capacity working for the government. And I was a supervisor of people. Some were LGBT. I provided a shelter for them so that they could work and feel free and feel comfortable without being out to our management. And unfortunately, I think that is the situation still today. It seems incredible in 2010, as we're making strides towards same-sex marriage and ridding us of the vile Don't Ask, Don't Tell law and that despicable Defense of Marriage Act mistake, that even when those things are happening, perhaps too slowly, still in the DOD, most people are still very much in the closet and very much afraid of being identified as LGBT or identifying as LGBT. And in the national interest, I think, we need people to be able to be comfortable with whom they are at home and when they're at work, because it'll free up energy to make them better workers and make them happier and more relaxed. So I've been, in my life, very much a proponent of civil rights. I'm very interested in constitutional law and constitutional issues, and from an abstract legal perspective, of course, all these struggles right now are very much of interest. But also as somebody who feels very committed to seeing our country grow and the well-being of its citizens, I think we need to maximize the use of all our resources. And that means maximal use of civilians working in the Department of Defense. So I really believe that if we can recognize the civilians, LGBTs, as minorities who are very productive and are patriotic and contribute a lot to the nation, that we'll all be better off. So I'm very much in favor, Lisa, with what you've been doing and what DOD Fed Globe is doing to promote this cause.
And today, we know that it was decided last night that Don't Ask, Don't Tell in a federal court in Riverside, California is unconstitutional. From your legal perspective, where do you think it goes next?
Well, I think that these decisions, and Judge Walker's decision on Proposition 8, are very important. They will be appealed to the highest levels, I believe. Right now, on the Don't Ask, Don't Tell decision, the Obama administration is in a difficult position. I think they would like the situation to change. They would not be unhappy if the Senate would vote, as did the House of Representatives, and to vote to end that law. But on the other hand, the government has an obligation to defend existing government laws. So I don't know which way they will go on this, and I do hope that they will take the progressive line and that they will applaud the decision about the constitutionality of the law. I do believe that both Proposition 8 and Don't Ask, Don't Tell, if the path goes through the courts all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, that we are going to win. It's going to take a long time. It would be nice to use a legislative process and make it happen more rapidly. Well, I think there have been some schisms in our LGBT community about action at the federal level versus state-by-state approach. I don't think it's either or at all. And I think what we see from these last two decisions, for example, in California, where Judge Walker held that the Proposition 8 law was not constitutional, and similarly Judge Phillips has said the same thing about Don't Ask, Don't Tell, that helps to give impetus to other states. California is a big state. What we do is very important, and I never lose sight of that. We also help to feed the energy for the effort at the federal level, and vice versa. So I think it's, in a sense, for a non-military person, kind of a pincer movement between the federal, very centralized approach to changing the laws and the state-by-state approach. And they both are relevant and crucial. So I think these are very exciting times for LGBTs, especially those of us who are politically active. And I think we'll look back at this last decade or so as being just an amazing time in our history.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.